Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Clank Legacy 2. And yes, this will be a spoiler-free review, which also means it'll probably be a fairly short review, because sometimes when I do spoiler-free reviews for Legacy games, I can spend too much time talking in vague terms, and that can reasonably be frustrating for everyone. So I'm going to try to keep this on the shorter side as far as what this game is doing and how it operates, without showing you anything, and then just dive straight into my opinion of it. Clank Legacy 2 is a legacy game. It's based on the Clank system, which is a deck-building adventuring system. You're adventuring around the board. You're trying to dive deeper into the, well, in the original Clank Legacy, you're diving into the dungeon, original Clank, you're diving into a dungeon, you're trying to gather these, relics or whatnot, and the further you go, the more points they are. The problem is you're generating clank all the time. You're generating noise, which attracts the attention of all the evil, nefarious bosses you're facing off against. And to that end, you're trying to go deep into the dungeon to get all the points worth of stuff, but then you have to retreat back to your home territory in order to survive. That's the core idea of Clank. If you go too shallow into the dungeon and you just get those little 8-point artifacts, it's not going to be worth a ton of points for you. But if you go all the way to the end, you might find yourself at a lot of points and dying on the way home. That's the challenge you're faced off with. That's the challenge you're facing off against. Clank Legacy has already had an original Clank Legacy. This is Clank Legacy 2. I've played through both of them at this point. And Clank Legacy 2, it's going to have the same core structure. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of scenarios, 10-ish scenarios that you're going to be playing through, and the scenarios are going to be linked as you slowly add stickers to the board that represent the changing nature of the landscape you're playing on. So yes, you still have this concept that you're going into this adventure, trying to go further while you build out your deck, while trying to gather these things and then return home. But then you're going to be adding stickers to the board, a lot of stickers to the board, because you're going to be having these new places you can go to. So there's that legacy element. You're going to have your own little journal in the game that represents the various challenges you've gone on. You're going to have your little quests and your little side stories, the individual quests based on your particular character. But the core idea is still going to be a deck building adventure game, in which you're pushing your luck against the game and against the other players, because if you all go deep into the dungeon, you're probably fine. If you go deep and everyone else goes not so deep, you might find yourself dying from a dragon sooner rather than later. That's the core concept. At this point, we start getting into areas where, to tell you more, would dive into spoilers. So I'm going to kind of go straight to my review at this point. I'm not going to dance around the bush over here. I'm going to go straight into my review, my thoughts and opinions. I will touch upon some elements of the gameplay, just by the nature of telling my thoughts and opinions, but again, while trying to keep it spoiler-free. And I'll start with the fact that Clank as a general game is well-loved. I've always only liked it. Legacy games in general, I usually tend to like, but there are some exceptions. Clank Legacy 1 is one that I felt there was far too much in-game stickering, things that removed me from the experience, as I would add things to the game and modify stuff while playing so. Adding stickers to cards, adding stickers to the board, just doing a whole lot of stickering while you're playing, that certainly removed me a bit from the experience. Clank Legacy 2 is not as bad in that capacity, but it still does have that. The core of the game is still going to have a lot of stickering, and it's not just in-game, because you go to a place and you read a thing, and suddenly you have to add a whole bunch of stickers to the board, and sometimes there are large stickers that have to be well-positioned, and it does slow down the experience. There's a lot of stickering, lots of which did not necessarily add value to my experience quite as much. The concept of legacy game, I love legacy games, I just find the in-game interruptions to really remove me from enjoying the experience. And that certainly happened with Clank Legacy 2, although I still do like it. I just don't love it. I like this game. I find that it has deck building, which I enjoy. It has progression, which I enjoy. It has new rules-ish, but not a significant amount that change up the experience. I mean, they change up the experience. They don't necessarily make the game better for me. I was no point was I blown away by the mechanics that the game was introducing. It added new aspects to the game without making me blown away, if that makes sense. There are some small things that are more pivotal as far as the structure of the types of games you're playing through, but even that didn't necessarily blow me away. It just felt like they had these things that were happening. They had different elements you had to be mindful of as you progressed. So I've enjoyed playing Clank Legacy 2. I've played through the entire thing. I don't think I want to play it again, though. And some Legacy games I have played again. Some of the Legacy games I'm excited to play again because they give me a different experience. This one gave me deck building, it gave me adventuring, it gave me push your luck. It also gave me in-game stickering a lot, and it didn't necessarily do anything at any point that blew my mind. A lot of legacy games have that moment where something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is now being added, or they've changed the rule in that capacity. And I never really got that from Clank Legacy 2. So again, it's hard to go into more detail without covering specific things that were or were not unlocked. I guess covering things that weren't unlocked is not that interesting to begin with, but there's only so much I can do without going into the specifics. But honestly, I don't think it matters a ton. I think the main thing is I had fun, but I also wasn't blown away by it. I do find that the in-game in-game stickering and in-game breaking up and in-game even just reading flavor text constantly in-game, that definitely removes me from it. I don't know if I cared for the story, by the way. The story I didn't care for. The character progression I did enjoy. Like, I enjoy having my character progress and being able to add or remove cards to the deck, or being able to adjust even the main deck and the way my character interacts with it. So those things I liked, which again just kind of boils down to the same core concept. I liked playing through Clank Legacy 2. I had fun with it, but I wasn't wowed by it. Although, again, remember that I wasn't wowed by Clank Legacy 1, and I'm also not the hugest fan of Clank in general. I think it's a good system. I know that a lot of people like it more than I do. I just like it, and that kind of applied here as well. So rating-wise, I'm going to come in at a 3.5 out of 5. Although it's also interesting, because my ratings have specific meanings, and technically speaking, this would come in at a 3 based on my current rating system at the moment. The tricky part is, I'm giving it a 3. I'd give it a 3 now after being done with it, but I played through the whole arc and I've enjoyed it, so I'd say it's a 3.5. Judging my desire to replay a Legacy game is a little bit unfair compared to how I judge other games in general. The whole arc is different. So again, after finishing it, it's a 3, so to speak, but the rating I would give it is a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I finished it. Would not necessarily seek to do so again. If you're looking for Legacy games that I highly recommend, definitely check out Pandemic Legacy, which I may have a soft spot for because it's my first Legacy game I ever played and I absolutely love it. And also check out Ticket to Ride Legacy, which is one of the more recent Legacy games I've played, and it felt like playing Pandemic Legacy again. Very different game, but it brought back that high of the experience I definitely found with Ticket to Ride Legacy. In any case, until next time, I hope you found this review helpful. I know it's not as, in-depth as I would like it to be. It's the problem with reviewing Legacy games, where I can't show you the components because I've altered them. I can't tell you about the things that were done because that's spoilers. I can just kind of tell you, did I like it, how much, and to some small extent, why or why not. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.